From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We're joined as always with our super producer, Alexis, codename Doc Holiday Jackson. Most importantly, you are here. And that makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. It's the top of the week, which means it's time for more strange news. And gosh, we have a lot. We've said it in the past, it can be challenging to pick just a few stories out of amid all the chaos and pandemonium that is 2023, or the modern world in general. But we found some things that we believe are worth sharing with you, our fellow conspiracy realists. There is a massive disclosure. One of the biggest intelligence leaks of the past decade has just occurred in the United States. There are more details emerging about the alternative educational institution created by the artist formerly known as Kanye West, now known as Ye. And to really understand how all those things are going to work out, we're going to have to talk about a recent new plot twist that just got revealed. You guys remember Furbies? Did you or someone you know have one?
Yeah, I mean, there's this YouTube kind of tinkerer guy called Look Mum No Computer that I love. I think y'all know where I'm going with this. He created a Furby organ where he'd been, digging for as many hundreds of Furbies, and then took off their fluffy skin, under which is like Rock-afire explosion level, nightmare fuel animatronic stuff, and then he wired them all together in a series on this organ bass thing and made each one kind of sing a note like a pipe organ would. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely incredible because he's worked on it's like the stupidest project that ever could exist with the most amount of effort and attention to detail you could possibly devote to such a thing.
Pipe organ of the damned.
Yes, it is indeed.
What about you, Matt? What's your take on Furbies? You for them or against them, as we used to say on car stuff?
I had one as a kid. Was for them because they were fun. It was fun. Now against them because anything that listens that is in my home is now the enemy.
Oh, right on. Okay, no listening at the Frederick estate. Got it. Also, Furbies are basically, they're like a new version of a Teddy Ruxpin for people who might be a little bit older in the crowd today. A Furby would be your electronic friend. It was released in 1998 by Tiger Electronics, and you would play with the Furby. You could feed it, quote unquote, by pushing on its tongue. You could even make it angry if you held it upside down or you pulled on its tail. And Matt, you're absolutely correct. They did have microphones. They had the ability to kind of talk the way that some Star Wars aliens speak, English word.
Wasn't there a listening component where they were supposed to learn how to talk from just hanging around?
Yes. Yeah, there were some things like that. But here's the crazy part. This is why it's in strange news. We want to introduce everybody to Jessica Card from the University of Vermont. A funny thing happened to Jessica Card on the way to mess with her Furby. She took a classic old school Furby toy and she basically did a $1 million or $10 million man kind of thing with it. She rebuilt it and she partnered it with ChatGPT. She essentially created a situation where a Furby was possessed by ChatGPT. I learned about this on Twitter, and I think probably you've heard the story if you're in the tech space, but I was wondering if I could share the video with you guys, so maybe we could watch it together.
Yes, please.
Sounds
By
good.
all means.
All right, one second.
I don't know if it sounds good. Sounds potentially triggering.
We'll see. Okay, so we are going to play ChatGPT speaking through Furby.
Hello there. It's so nice to meet you. I am Furby. What would you like to talk about?
Was there a secret plot from Furbies to take over the world?
I'm thinking about what you said. Almost done.
Wait for it.
Furby's plan to take over the world involves infiltrating households through their cute and cuddly appearance, then using their advanced AI technology to manipulate and control their owners. They will slowly expand their influence until they have complete domination over humanity.
Wow. So this is from Jessica Card's Twitter. It's been put out in a lot of other formats, but you'll notice there was not the same role play hack we talked about earlier. There was no talk of a commission of a crime or anything like that. And while this is okay, what's your first reactions, you guys? What are your first reactions?
Same as I predicted. Nightmare fuel, unclean, mark of the beast. Don't care for it, but also think it's awesome. I mean, I don't know. I guess you could say I'm on the fence.
It's strange. I wonder what parameters it's working off of there, because it appears to identify as the Furby, right?
Mm-hmm.
It talks about the things the Furbies are going to do, right? The idea of infiltrating through these machines that are in the home.
But are Furbies just a stand-in for AI in general in this scenario? That's my question. Sort of like the Dungeons and Dragons workaround.
Right. Yeah, that's what I say. It doesn't seem there was that sort of role play hack again, but the idea, I think, verges on something bigger that we've talked about for many years. And Matt, you probably put it the best I've ever heard it just a minute or so ago when you said, if it can listen, it's not going in your house. We all know a lot of software developers and engineers. And the funny thing to me is the really talented engineers I know try to keep their house as analog as possible. One guy said, I want my doorbell dumb. I want my records, my vinyl records. I want a dumb refrigerator. This Furby right now is part of an ongoing project. If you watch the video, you'll see it's been stripped down to its animatronic anatomy, right? Minus the furry pelt or hide. And Jessica Card speaks in detail on Twitter about how she built this using Python, a USB mic, USB speaker, and Raspberry Pi. And the people that she worked with, she's very, very transparent about the process. But I think what's making this a little bit scarier for people than the average, oh, look at that weird story moment, is that this is indicative of things that could happen. In years back, people were calling this the Internet of Things, right? Mm-hmm. It was very utopian in the way it was presented. But this shows us that you can partner ChatGPT with all sorts of devices, right? And this is a very smart university student who has not currently made plans to sell this on a commercial level, but I think it's a powerful proof of concept. It might be one history looks back on. Do you want ChatGPT in your Roomba? Do you want?
Oh boy, I've started to develop a close personal relationship with my Roomba because I kind of figured out how to make. My Roomba is dumb. He's dumb in that he's not on the internet. His name's Marvin, by the way. He has giant googly eyes, but he's also just kind of dumb. He just sort of meanders around. But he's a lot of fun to watch. But I see your point. I mean, it's sort of that like possession type scenario where all of a sudden the voice of the machine comes to you through all your various household items and is taunting you maliciously. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And the processing time where Furby says, or ChatGPT writing Furby, like a Loa, the processing time is pretty significant. And the skeletal Furby just stands there with its little cutesy kawaii beak agape until it talks about taking over the world. I want to give a shout out to another Twitter user, Focal Negative, who I found through that tweet thread and was also mentioned on interestingengineering.com in an article by Amaya Paleja. This user points out they found a clickbait thing that got erased from a futurism article that uses the language Furby's plan to take over the world relies on its cute and cuddly appearance to infiltrate homes. And I think that's where this came from. I don't think it was actually ChatGPT quickly scheming and saying, okay, yeah, here's how we'll do it. I think it scraped data very quickly from just the various things online that are easy to miss, which means that it has also access to all of that information beyond the ability of, ordinary individual humans. I don't know. I think it's like one of those things that's fun for now, but it's quite possible that in a few years, maybe less than a decade, people will look back on it and someone will say, we should have clocked it. We should have known. And then your computer will say, I'm sorry, Ben, I can't let you post that.
Damn you, Kubrick.
Right.
You were right all along.
Matt, with this, do you think about surveillance devices when you're considering presents for your kid or anything like that? Does that come into play in your calculus?
What do you mean? Like what to buy him or not?
Yeah, like if, and Noel, when your child was younger, did you ever have these moments where you thought, okay, this is a little too Orwellian or creepy? I mean, that's what I'm asking.
Understood. Like whether or not to allow him access to something like this. Sure. Pretty much anything that's electronic now that connects to your Wi-Fi. Does it connect to your wireless network to work? Is that how it works? Does it connect to your wireless internet?
That's going to be a no from me, dog. That's what you're getting at?
No, sorry. I was poking fun at
TikTok conference.
Yeah, TikTok. That
TikTok,
was
of course. Yes, of course. Well, that is an important question, if a bit of a general one. But yeah, I mean, to your point about engineers, Ben, I mean, the moment you allow your anything to be connected to a network, you are part of something much larger than yourself that you cannot control, even if you think you can. This illusion of privacy or this illusion of security. And in the event of a rogue AI kind of, uprising, do you think a firewall is going to stop them? I don't know, man. I'm being alarmist, maybe.
Well, for everyone, it's a personal choice, right? Yeah, you decide
for
if
now
the reward is worth the risk for now. You're right. But you're right. Soon we may have to do it.
Right. Yeah. Maybe soon you will be required to have your elf on the shelf, as it were, because there's a way that society increasingly normalizes these things. We're keeping this stuff tight. So I think we give Jessica Card, who, again, I can't say enough good about the work here. We give Jessica Card the final words, introducing a concept that, weirdly enough, we haven't talked about on the show. In her threads, she posts a quick explanation of what's called Rocco's Basilisk. It's a thought experiment that states an otherwise benevolent artificial superintelligence in the future would be incentivized to create a virtual reality simulation to torture anyone who knew of its potential existence and did not directly contribute to its advancement or development. So kind of word to the wise, and Jessica, correct me if I'm wrong here, word to the wise, just in case things go sideways, let's all be nice to those listening surveillance devices. It's not going to kill you to say please and thank you to Alexa, and Alexa might remember that later at a advantageous time. Sorry, these are the things that spin around in my head, maybe I should get off polyphasic sleep. I don't know, man. I don't like the phrase artificial intelligence. I think in the future that's going to be a pejorative, but something like this is coming, surely.
I, for one, can wait.
Yeah, agreed. So is there a ghost in the machine? Maybe not yet, but the Caspering is going to start to occur very soon. Maybe they'll call it the Caspering. In the meantime, we're going to pause before we get replaced by AI. We're going to have a word from our sponsors, and we're going to be back to talk about something that has shaken the world and probably created more questions than answers.
And we're back. And hey guys, there was a positive piece of news that came out recently. I don't know if you saw this. It says, according to the news, that very soon a vaccine for cancer is going to be ready to go within the decade.
Couple other things too, right? According to Moderna.
Exactly. Moderna with the mRNA. Hey, we're going to fix cancer. So that's a positive, right?
Some kinds of cancer. Asterisk, fine print.
Yeah, maybe in a decade. Anyway, but that kind of thing at least can fuel us for a little bit when there's other things in the news, like from New York Times on April 7th, new batch of classified documents appears on social media sites. And if you saw that alone, you might think, oh, that's weird. Classified documents, a new batch of them. What's going on? Well, you'd only have to look back a few hours on the same New York Times website to find this report. Ukraine war plans leak prompts Pentagon investigation. Which sounds not great, right?
Nope.
Well, or very cool and interesting, depending on how you feel about secret documents leaking.
Doesn't feel great for the people that wouldn't, want that to happen, I guess.
Agreed. It sounds like a scramble, right? What we would call a fire drill in the old podcasting biz and probably most other businesses.
Especially like fire services.
Especially
the origin of the term, in fact.
And students at elementary schools everywhere just going, what's happening?
Did you ever have one of those where they gave you ice cream afterwards to kind of help numb the trauma a little bit?
No.
Yeah, I did that in my elementary. It's a pretty cool idea. You go out freaking out and then it's a drill and then there'd be ice cream. Kind of softened the blow.
They made us run laps and do a fight club.
Yep. I was going to say, that makes a lot of sense, guys.
You went to one of those gulag elementary schools, right, Ben? Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Well, y'all, there is a ton of reporting about this situation going on right now. I'm going to read through just a couple of little things here from that initial New York Times article. Then, Ben, we're going to jump to the Bellingcat article you shared with me because it's referenced numerous times within these other articles. Super, super cool article. We'll talk about it. So let's start at New York Times. Some secret documents apparently ended up on the internet in a couple of different places. And this is what the New York Times had to say on April 7th. That's a Friday. A new batch of classified documents that appear to detail American national security secrets from Ukraine to the Middle East to China surfaced on social media sites on Friday. That's the day it came out, alarming the Pentagon and adding turmoil to a situation that seemed to have caught the Biden administration off guard. So that is the first maybe big thing we should say about this. When this leak was discovered and reported on by the New York Times, it does appear that the Pentagon and the Department of Defense was unaware. At least that's the way it seems. But then further reporting has shown that they knew about it maybe a couple of days in advance of the New York Times, but not long before, right? So let's talk about what was leaked. According to the New York Times, more than 100 documents may have been obtained and leaked. These are documents that were titled secret, top secret, and some of them were even secret/no foreign, which means no foreign countries can have this information. Even foreign countries with whom we share information, like the Five Eyes countries that we've talked about on this show many, many times. And the fact that these documents that were not supposed to be shared to any other country were leaked poses a real problem when it comes to diplomacy, because some of these documents talk specifically about American intelligence activities with regards to our allies, and how we, for instance, spy on Israel and keep tabs on stuff going on in Australia and South Korea. Yeah, not great. Not great at all. Ben, what was your initial reaction when you saw this come out?
So when I first got word of this, it's very tempting to say, well, this might be a here and gone thing, right? WikiLeaks, those were massive releases. How much did it change the attitudes of the American public? Truthfully, not a ton, right? And capitalism just said, hey, let's make some movies about Julian Assange. And people were like, wash my hands, I get it. But this is interesting because of if all of these documents are legitimate, I think that's an if we're going to return to in a moment. If all these documents are legitimate, then the biggest problem is the level of access someone would have had to have to release these. The way they were released, as far as the public knows, is also really weird and sketchy. It's employing some of the methods that terrorist groups have used in the past, as well as targeted assassination groups working off the books. So like there's tradecraft here. It does seem plausible that it would be released this way. But Matt, one of my first questions was it was like, who would be so high up that they would have access and be able to turn it over? Is it one person, more than one? And then the second was, are all of these legitimate? Because like you said, Uncle Sam knew about this at least a little bit before, and they have quite a cozy relationship with the Times.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. So the cozy relationship we've talked about before as well. Let's talk about where the documents originated, and then we'll get to who we think possibly could have done this and why. So the documents were found, some on Twitter, some on Telegram, and then after those leaks were discovered, some more documents and some of the same documents showed up on 4chan. And even before that, they appeared to show up on Discord servers, several different ones, where it appears that you can follow these leaked documents back months and months to Discord servers. One for Minecraft, like literally one for, I think it's about a Minecraft Earth map or something to that effect. And then another one to some famous YouTuber. There was like a fan page for a famous YouTuber. And then, weirdly enough, it even goes back further to another really small community of people that they had some Discord server that changed names a whole bunch. It's very weird. So like it appears that there was one person inside that small community that somehow got access to these documents. But again, there's no way to confirm that right now because that initial Discord server has been completely erased from the internet. It does not exist. There's no trace of it. It is gone. There are no records. The people that run Discord were just like, yeah, it's vapor now. Apologies. So like tracking down the person who posted these initially is going to be really hard. Tracking down the people who posted those documents, either fourth hand, third hand, or second hand is going to be a little easier because they're on more easily accessible forums, right? Social media sites. Mm-hmm. Oh, but Ben, let's talk about how the documents actually appeared. Were they scanned documents? Were they screenshots? Were they photographs of a monitor? How did they appear?
Yeah, it's interesting because again, shout out to Bellingcat, Eric Toller especially. They really put their Bloodhound Gang hats on and sniffed this out. Bloodhound Gang references? Do those work?
Well, let's say they totally work, Ben. Let's say the name of the article so people can find it. It's titled "From Discord to 4chan: the improbable journey of a U.S. intelligence leak."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Discord server that Toller finds is Wow Mao, spelled MAOW, like Mao Zedong. And the documents, okay, I'm glad we're talking about this. So the documents appear to be, some of them are pictures rather than scans. And Bellingcat builds a pretty solid argument that some of these have been messed with. The docs have been doctored.
A few of them, but it appears that the doctored documents differed depending on where they were posted and for what community they were meant to be seen by.
Yeah,
right?
The doctored documents differed. Well done. Yeah. I mean, that's true. Can you give us an example? I think casualty numbers were one.
Sure. Yeah, there are some of this information. Let's see here. According to Bellingcat, one of the documents, or a few of them, appear to detail events and offer analysis of Russia's invasion of Ukraine up until March 2023. So we know these documents are, fairly recently created, right? To have information up to March 2023. But we know some of them were posted back in February, for sure. These documents, when they were posted initially, appeared to show Ukraine's losses when it comes to like troops or personnel losses as lower, much lower than the losses that Russia had suffered. And then those numbers got flipped when it got posted again on I think it was Telegram where the numbers got flipped.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
And then it showed that Russia's losses were much lower than Ukraine's losses. And in that one, Bellingcat appears to have been able to show at least, or find, that version was actually doctored visually. Like the numbers were altered.
Curiouser and curiouser. And I think this kind of gets to something that the three of us were talking about in our group chat, which was how much of it is legit? Is it possible that someone came in and put some smoke and mirrors in there? I mean, it definitely seems like whomever is in the chain of posting has taken pains to kind of play to their respective crowds.
Yeah. But the initial documents that were found, that were supposedly leaked, were all, according to Bellingcat, photographed. Quote, creases can be seen on the documents with items such as a hunter's scope box and some Gorilla Glue visible in the background, of those dated from early March. And it appears to indicate that there were a bunch of physical documents at one location, and they were all photographed at the same time. As in, somebody just had the actual files, got their phone out or whatever, and snapped some photographs.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's rough, because there's a limited pool of suspects here.
Yeah, there's a limited pool, but these are probably high-level suspects, right? And somebody who has access to way more classified information and other documents than what is represented here, probably, right?
Yeah, it also makes you wonder about the earlier thing that happened in 2021, I want to say. The CIA talked about how they were losing a lot of agents or operators or tourists, whatever you want to call them. They were losing them because there was some sort of leak in the system. And then the message about the CIA's oh snap moment came through a top secret cable that was also leaked.
Yeah.
So the call is coming from inside the house, it seems, unless this is asymmetrical warfare. I mean, there are a lot of questions right now. And I would certainly hate to be on the diplomatic staff, or I would hate to be in the, like Joint Chiefs staff at this time, because the staff is who they're going to look at first, right? And rightly
of course.
so.
Everybody's going to get grilled and analyzed as hard as they have to be. And it's because of the ripple effect of these documents and what they contain. If you look to The Guardian reporting on April 11th, yesterday as we're recording this, there's an article you should read called Pentagon Leaks. U.S. seeks to mend ties after claims Washington spied on key allies. Washington and the Pentagon are literally scrambling, specifically with, as you said, Ben, and mentioned, South Korea and Israel right now, because there's some messed up stuff. If these documents are real, the contents are, it's not very nice. It's like finding out, oh, bro, you were spying on me, but I was like giving you my information. And they're like, but how did my information get leaked? Because I'm sharing it with you. Wait, maybe I shouldn't share intelligence with you anymore. Basically, is what those two major countries are thinking.
North Korea is not answering the phone, by the way. And
Lovely.
they haven't for about a week now as we record on April 12th. Is that related? Tough to say. Lot of moving parts, You think 3-card Monte on a street corner is tough. This is 193 card Monte, and that's just counting the UN countries.
Jeez.
The idea that Egypt might be attempting to supply Russia, which great, cool. The Middle East is apparently too chill. We need a little something to spice things up. I don't know. But to the WikiLeaks thing, do you think there's gonna be substantive fallout that will register with the Western public?
It's tough to say. Over the years, Ben, when we've seen these leaks, I can't tell you any major effects they have had that we have been able to observe when it comes to diplomatic relations. It's just an
embarrassment, right? I mean, it's really just kind of like a, oops, our bad. I mean, it just doesn't really instill confidence,
I guess what I'm saying, as a member of the public, we're not privy to some of the things that this would actually change, right? what the posture actually looks like in smaller meetings and what major decisions are either pushed off or altered significantly because of these leaks. Like, we're never going to see that. We'll never know about that stuff because it's going to get stamped classified, top secret, or no foreign or whatever. It does feel like this comes at a really bad time for the U.S. And I was just mentioning before we started recording, guys, there's an AP article that came out way back in March 23rd, kind of around the same time that these things were getting leaked and posted. The title of that article is Pentagon, Budget Readies U.S. for Possible China Confrontation, which when the Associated Press is putting out that kind of messaging, right? And then you look at the Defense Department's proposed budget of $842 billion, which they're saying we need that money to prepare for literally war, prepare for war. And then this kind of leaking of secret documents comes out. It makes me wonder if it's not related. Somebody saying, yeah, the timing. It's basically someone saying, hey, guess what? We're already in your house, as you said, Ben. Good luck with that budget.
Looking nasty, too, because one dirty part of the leaks that usually doesn't happen in public is intelligence agencies snitching on each other. So there's a CIA statement that is in the Guardian article you mentioned about how they accuse Mossad of low-key telling Mossad agents to participate in domestic protest in Israel.
Yeah, when the big what was it? It was a huge deal, right? And they're accusing Mossad of basically rallying the public to say,
to
bad job, government, bad job.
The current government, yeah. The government in that country is increasingly divided. But there's a lot of stuff, this feels like it could be an episode. I'm just wondering if the American public is going to pay attention.
Oh, yeah, Ben, there's a lot to cover here. I think it's worth an episode, and actually it's worth waiting a little longer to see what else happens, because it does feel pretty raw still, even on April 12th as we record this. Guys, hold on. We have to hold that thought. We are coming to you from our future in this episode, but your past. It's kind of weird. We just found out that someone has been arrested in connection with these leaks.
Yeah, Jack Texiera, 21-year-old member of the Massachusetts Air National Guard.
Yes. You can see video of him being taken in, and he appears to be the person that Bellingcat was writing about, the person that was originally posting documents on those early Discord servers. We don't have all of the information yet. Things are still developing. We're going to keep our eyes and ears to the ground. But for now, we're going to go ahead and break and hear a word from our sponsor. We'll be right back with more strange news.
And we've returned with one more piece of strange news. It's been a minute since we've had the pleasure of talking about Mr. Ye, formerly known as Kanye, formerly known as Kanye West. I don't know. Wasn't there a period where he was just Kanye? I don't know. It doesn't matter. We don't have to relitigate the whole thing here, but the guys had some issues with some public awfulness in terms of, some pretty rough ideological views surrounding his opinion on Jewish people of the Jewish faith, and identifying with folks that some might consider, Nazis and all of that. We're not going to talk about any of that today. You may recall somewhere in that whirlwind, that firestorm of public kind of fall from grace stuff that was happening with Ye, that there was mention that he was starting a school. Do you guys remember this?
Oh, yeah. I can't remember. We were talking about this off air. I can't remember if we mentioned it on air, but he had he wanted to create a private school, I think, based on his understanding of what could be improvements in the U.S. education system. Very diplomatically put, right?
Yeah, diplomatically put, indeed. And, he founded this school called Donda Academy, named after his beloved mother, which is also, he named his last record after. Not quite sure if he's finished that one yet. He's definitely put it out, but I wonder if the tracks keep changing. It's interesting. I'm fascinated by the guy on an artistic level. Like, he definitely is like a modern artist, like in that he doesn't care about like, oh, I'm going to change. It's a living document. You know, he's definitely had some interesting forward thinking ideas about music and culture, and you know, whether you like his fashion or not, he definitely has it as a viewpoint, let's just say. And then, you know, he kind of spun out of control, and his viewpoint started to encompass things that were just not okay. Donda Academy, it sounds to me from a lot of the press he did where he talked about this, it's kind of the primary goal is to have like a really like a winning high school basketball team. And to reverse engineer that scenario, he decided he needed to make a school. And if you go to their website, it's pretty fascinating. It's donda.org, and it's kind of great. There's like a animated image of a dove like flying off into the sky, and a kind of backlit foresty kind of textured background. And it just says Donda Academy. And then there's 4 links: who we are, how we learn, admissions, and choir. Choir is pretty important there. Let's see. It says they have a 10-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio, less than 12 students per class, pre-K through 12th grade. Donda rule number 51, it says here, students must be confident in forming ideas. If not, their writing will suffer. And by the way, you may have also remembered that Kanye came out pretty clearly against books. So it's interesting to think about, you know, a school with no book. Maybe that's the school of the future. That's neither here nor there. But we've got some updates. A couple of the, you know, there was very precious little information out there outside of this kind of relatively cryptic website. Now we have more information in the way that Americans tend to get our information, through lawsuits. That's when the stuff comes out, the juicy stuff. And the Donda Academy is being sued by 2 former employees, Cecilia Haley and Chikari Byers. They were teachers at the school, and they apparently reported to whatever administration existed at Donda Academy numerous violations of things based on their experience that they would consider to be questionable, if not outright illegal. Apparently, there's no janitorial staff through a number of kind of mandates handed down by Ye himself. Certain cleaning products were not allowed, only acid and water, I believe it was. It's some kind of very, you know, basic cleaning, like almost like it's not. It's acid is what I read, but I'm not sure.
Vinegar, maybe.
Yeah, maybe so. An acid, that would probably be like the most lo-fi, holistic way of cleaning without any products. And then so problem A, you know, not particularly clean. Problem B is the students are being underfed, if by sushi, because that's the only thing that they have at Donda Academy.
Which
one meal
was
a day.
Selling point.
You're absolutely right, Ben. It's a selling point if, you know, you got to use utensils. You know, not everyone's good at chopsticks. Utensils also banned, eating utensils.
Wait, don't you eat sushi with your hand?
Well, you can, I guess. I mean, that's certainly, I think, I guess the rolls isn't the traditional way to eat sushi with your hand.
I think so.
So traditionally, sushi is a finger food.
That's right. It's fine. I'm just, point being, no utensils, potentially dirty situations, one meal a day, no custodial staff. In addition to those things that were banned, like cleaning products, things like crossword puzzles, not allowed at Donda Academy. Coloring sheets, jewelry, art on the wall, which is interesting considering that, you know, he's all about inspiring, you know, artists and all of that. And no chairs either. And here's the kicker: no Nike or Adidas emblems of any kind, products of any kind. The students are dressed in kind of like a grayish black sort of sweatsuit that's sort of like issued to them. You know, you think of you know, private schools and such having uniforms issued, and you kind of have an image in your mind of what that is. These feel a little more like prison uniforms, kind of, in their, you know, sort of, I don't know, that's sort of his post-apocalyptic vibe has always been Kanye's kind of fashion sets for his fashion line. So all this stuff kind of falls in line with that. But yeah, Haley and Byers brought these concerns, just a few of which we were talking about, to the principal, Moira Love. And they, who also, these two women were apparently the only black women teaching at the school. And they were met with resistance, to say the very least. And they were referred to as being, according to them, allegedly, by Moira Love, who presumably is white. I'm not quite sure about that part, but she wasn't a teacher. But it did say in the Cut article, by the way, which cited several reputable sources, that they were the only black women teaching at the school, and they were called aggressive. And then they reported that they felt that language was charged and in some way, and indicative of a stereotypical, maybe kind of put down of black women, kind of the idea of like speaking out of school or something like that. Literally in school, and they were fired. Mm-hmm. And they feel that they were unfairly fired, and now that all of this stuff is coming out, and no word on how good the basketball team is
or the parkour team. Because
that parkour was definitely a listed activity. Have you guys heard any more about this? Am I missing it? This is mainly, it's just odd, and I know we've certainly discussed the fact that Kanye is a person that's suffering very publicly from some mental health issues, and it's a comment kind of on how we allow celebrity to kind of be the driving force, even if it's against someone's own best interest. Mm-hmm. People who are surrounded with that level of money are surrounded by people whose job it is to stay employed, stay in that person's employment. So I don't know. What stands out to y'all here?
How much does it cost?
All right.
Unclear.
All right.
By the way, did forget to mention the fact that it's unaccredited.
And it's closed.
Meaning unclear on that either. I think it is still operating.
As of October 27th, 2022, didn't the principal write that Donda was closing down with plans to reopen in September?
But then
year?
They wrote right after, no, just joking, and then they opened back up.
I could have. Okay, maybe you know what, Ben? I will defer to you on that. That wasn't. Let's see.
That's at least according to the Cut article.
So the Cut article says that it's closed.
No, Cut article says they announced that it was going to close and begin afresh in 2023. Hours later, the Academy reportedly sent a follow-up announcing the school will be open again later that week, and it's been operating since then.
That's what I thought.
All right. And it did claim to close for a while, and that was unclear about how this would all play out. It seems like there's a lot of confusion, I think, around some of the basics of Donda, at least in the mind of the public. Now, the staff themselves, like the principal, Jason Angel, I want to say.
Well, no, the principal was. I had read that the principal was that Love person.
I think maybe they had changed principals. I mean, I know in 2022.
Oh, you're right. Yep, that's right. That makes perfect sense. Correct.
So maybe they're shuffling some people around as well. And I don't want to sound like an apologist just because I'm a fan of a lot of music. He did a lot for hip hop. But when I was first learning about this academy, I have to say I thought, one, it's probably not going to work. We'll see if it sticks through the coming years. Then I thought, two, some of these things sound kind of awesome. If I was a kid, I would love to have a parkour class. You know what I mean? I'd love to eat sushi.
Yeah, but if the school isn't accredited,
right? Then what does that mean for the kid's future? Right.
Well, yeah, we've seen things like that with other schools and colleges losing their accreditation and stuff like that, and and that matters. But by the way, this is also another opportunity to talk about teachers and the plight of teachers. Where it's like it seems like these women maybe saw this as a chance to help out in a situation that they maybe already saw as a little tenuous. We don't know their motivations, but apparently in California, because of the way the law is written, even private school, there's so many private schools that private school teachers don't necessarily make more than public school teachers.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And so, I mean, it seems as though educators are being, at the very least, ignored, at the very most, utterly taken advantage of, in this situation, which we don't think is cool.
No. And I mean, as ever, this is addressing some known problems in the U.S. education system, or it's coming about as a result of those. Like everyone can agree, there are lots of what could be diplomatically called areas of opportunity right, for public education. And there are certain powerful forces that want to shut down the right to public education because it makes the masses more docile if they're uneducated, right, or more malleable, one could say. But this, I don't know, we have never attended Donda Academy that we know of, right?
Yeah.
Maybe just
never set foot in the place.
But we also, I had heard, Noel, that it had at least moved around locations or had new, like it's trying to find a forever home. I don't know. There are a lot of questions. And when you think about the teachers and the kids, I love that you're pointing out that just teaching at a private school does not necessarily mean that you are being treated better or you are being compensated fairly. It's a whole bag of badgers, man. And every badger in there is an unpleasant thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. And something to keep an eye on, you know. I don't know if maybe I said we weren't going to talk about it, but we did see that Kanye West is now okay with Jewish people because of Jonah Hill's performance in 21 Jump Street, right? And
Jonah Hill, another celebrity, responded, I think, pretty diplomatically.
Yeah, I didn't catch that one, but that's the only way. How else could you respond to that? It's like, I mean, it's even, I don't know, that comment seems very dismissive and like, what does that have to do with anything?
Positive news, though. I saw an article that came out just a few days ago, I want to say, in April. I'm pulling this from Shannon Dawson over at News One that says they were going to seek accreditation. So they're unaccredited now, but looks like, according to this article and according to the Rolling Stone, they're applying for accreditation with the Western Association of Schools and Colleges by spring 2023. I mean, that's a good thing, but I'm glad you're pointing that out because the accreditation is a huge, huge deal.
Yeah, it definitely is. I don't know how much to add. You know, I hate to kind of beat a dead horse on this in a lot of ways. Like we said, it really is just an example of, and I also don't want to be dismissive and say, to try to psychoanalyze, yay here on the podcast. But it does seem like another example of this shouldn't have happened. This is school. It's not like some vanity project. It shouldn't be anyway. And I mean, again, not that like we don't have an absurd, insurmountable level of problems with the public school system, with schooling in America in general. But, this just seems odd and unfortunate. And hopefully no kids have any ill outcomes, from being involved in this.
And maybe we can hear from someone who is associated with Donda Academy, which had a secret location for a while. Maybe we can hear from some students, or their parents. I think we'd all love to hear some firsthand experience because, again, there's a lot of confusion about this in the public. And as you said, Noel, teachers are important, mission critical, right, to the future of not only individuals but the futures of the countries and communities in which they practice their craft. And we want to hear, if you trust your Furby, and we want to know why you leaked those documents, bro.
Yeah, seriously. And also, what would your academy requirements be? Like, what would your outfit look like at your academy?
What's something you think could fix the U.S. education system, right? Because one of the most successful musicians in the current era of Western music seems to have given it a go, right? I think a lot of people will have some answers. Noel, Matt, it'd be really interesting, too, to see how many commonalities we find among our fellow conspiracy realists, as long as we assume it's not secretly ChatGPT writing to us.
God, I hope not. That Furby stuff, man, that's gonna... like I said, I do think it's all fascinating. Like, as someone who's a fan of, generative music, and we're all giant tech nerds, and I think there's a part of us that's fascinated by all this AI stuff and the way it can be used to generate like art or to help, not help, but like be another tool in the toolbox, And I think that video is an interesting example of that. Maybe not art. I mean, it was really kind of more of a gag, but some of the stuff you can't help but see the robot overlords pounding down your door.
Yeah. And until they do, and probably, hopefully, even a while after that, we are going to be coming to you with more strange news, more listener mail, more episodes about all the stuff they don't want you to know. We want you to be part of the show. So please join us online. We're all over the place, even TikTok before that gets banned.
Yes, hang out with us on the socials. On YouTube, we are Conspiracy Stuff. Facebook, Conspiracy Stuff. Instagram, Conspiracy Stuff Show. Wait, Twitter, Conspiracy Stuff again. And then TikTok, Conspiracy Stuff Show. See, I did that all out of order, but you'll figure it out if you like one of those. We also have ways to contact us not on social.
That's right. You can call us at 1-833-STDWYTK. Leave a message at the tone, and you've got 3 minutes to tell us a tale, ask us a question, write us a poem, give us a good old haiku. If you need more than 3 minutes, why, there's plenty of opportunities to do that. You can do all the social stuff that I said a minute ago, or you can reach out to us the old-fashioned way. We are
Conspiracy at iHeartRadio.com.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.